What is up, people of the internet? Cosmic Adults here, and
So,
Mercedes Han, the other side of the Cosmic Adults. We were just talking about being wired up, and I think we need to start with this being wired up
she, yeah.
because the week that we're covering, actually, this in this episode kind of starts with a full moon. It kind of ended with the full moon. It starts, it's kind of depending on where you are in the world. So, full moons and being wired up. Maybe you, Mercedes, can shed a light because you have a pretty, sensitive moon sign.
You can
Tell
say that
us,
again.
tell us about being wired up during full moons.
Well, I actually, I do best in my life when I plan my schedule actually around the moon because the night before the full moon, I will be like up wired until like 2, 3 in the morning. And it's not a good idea for me to work the next day.
Mm.
And like be normal is actually better for me if I just like follow my intuition that day or whatever, just have like an intuitive day, which I highly recommend if you're able to allow that for yourself in your life. Um, but yeah, I just get wired. Like I'm wired. That's the only way to describe it. It's like my brain's electrocuted and I'm just freaking, yeah, there's a lot of energy. It gets really intense. The night before, never the night of, the night before.
This is very often what happens. It happens with sensitive people, I think, in general. But if you have a strong Cancer in your natal chart, Cancer is naturally ruled, and Mercedes, our friend here, does. And Cancer is very cyclical, guys. And the cycles are important, you know. And the moon cycle, I would say, is one of the most important ones we have if we consider the daily schedule, and especially if you have Cancer. So, need to learn about these cycles, need to learn how to navigate these cycles and how to live in tune with these cycles. It will enhance your life a bunch.
Well, and I think there's a huge difference between women and men with the moon as well, which I can likely speak to. Um, yeah, so males have a 24-hour cycle. Wake up, go to bed, wake up, go to bed. That's your cycle. Women's cycles are 28 days. So we are just going through it all the time, basically. So it makes it a little harder because each day is different for us. And I can't speak from, the male perspective, of course, but the for me, each day is different. It's like I wake up, I'm like, okay, what fucking lottery pick is today? And so basically it's like you kind of have to plan your life around that a little bit more. Makes it a little easier to deal with these different things. And yeah, what sign was the moon in for the full moon?
The full moon is actually in the sign of Libra. My ascendant sign, guys. I haven't even mentioned my signs too much. Let's talk about the full moon. So
I
this
thought
applies.
I
Yeah.
thought you on purpose were keeping your signs on the DL.
Sometimes. Lately, I don't care. If I don't give the exact chart out, people will have a hard time predicting anything for me.
Hmm.
But the only reason why I don't share that chart very publicly, very openly, is that I don't want people to start sending me predictions about my life. Because, guys, I'm an astrologer. I don't really care
People
about predictions.
people do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they do.
There are all kinds of people out
There
there.
is a wild variety of human beings on this planet right now.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. Let's talk about that. The full moon. Freaking yeah. I'll just be like laying there and I'm like, it's not like I'm thinking about anything. I'm just wired. That's the only word for it.
It is an emotional time, and then the
Mm.
emotions come out
At the full moon.
at the full moon. It's like the moon, which represents our feelings and emotions, becomes full. The cycle
Hmm.
ends, and a lot of the things that you have been suppressing, emotions, feelings, most likely, they are kind of like squeezed out. And during the full moons you can see a lot of the people being very emotional, just angry sometimes. A lot of relationship conflicts happen during full moons, and
Mm.
especially this full moon because it is happening in the sign of the relationships, Libra,
Mm.
of
I was
partnerships.
curious. I was super curious about that.
And
If you don't have a partner and you're not dating anyone, what happens to you?
friendships, still friendships,
Mm.
and you're kind of like
Hmm.
thinking more about relationships. Why I'm not in a relationships? What do I need to do? And this full moon has a T square with Pluto, so it's especially uncomfortable for the emotional side.
Yikes, bro.
Yep. So it's definitely some conflict issues coming up, control issues coming up in relationships, in partnership. You can use this in business partnerships as well. It doesn't only have to be only in romantic relationships.
Noted.
Yep. And who's controlling what, who is doing what, who's manipulating the other. Maybe there's something else. That doesn't always have to be, controlling and manipulating. It can be something else that is hidden, coming to light that the other party didn't know, or something that is emotionally suppressed for us. And now it becomes, guys, it will become so uncomfortable during this full moon to suppress it even further, which I know a lot of human beings usually want to do because it seems more comfortable to do it.
Hmm.
Now there's no escape. No escape.
So I have a smidge of an astrology question for you.
Hmm.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, so when you are born, like so natally, whatever your moon is, does it affect like if you were born on a full moon or you were born on like whatever moon phase, that
Hmm.
does that also affect like let's say you were born with a Libra full moon, with a Libra moon and it's a full moon at this particular time. Please explain that whole situation.
Like, yes, it does. The phases do give a little bit of more activity, let's say, or let's say an extra layer of the meaning. But what I have observed more, and I mostly more use the house and the sign. The let's say I've looked into the phases as well, but in my mind it's a little bit yes, a little bit no. I would keep it as that,
Mm-hmm.
that. But let's say a Libra
Yeah.
moon, Libra moon sign is very, very emotionally attached to relationships and partnerships and the outer opinions of others. Very much attached to
Interesting.
those and emotionally affected by these
So
areas.
also there was that moon flow thing that you talked that we had talked about in
That's
the
a big
past.
one.
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit? Because since we're talking about partnerships and things, like this might actually be worthwhile for people to look into if they haven't already.
This is a big one, and especially important in. You can use it in every kind of relationship, but it is important to use it in romantic relationships. So the moon, in the best scenario, should be flowing from the man to the woman. If it's the opposite way, problems can happen because the energy of the relationship will shift to a space where the woman will feel like she is emotionally responsible for the relationship. It's like she can feel like she's giving, but she's not getting anything back. And the sad part about this is very often the man is also not to blame at all, but the man is giving, 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 but it's very hard for the woman to actually see that he's giving and to receive the giving. So, you know,
I never thought of it that way. I always just think of it as babysitting.
you can say that too. Obviously, it can seem like that for a woman in that space, but you know, I
And
think it's
obviously
yeah. Go
we're
ahead.
talking about, you know, man-woman relationships. There are all types of different relationships too, right? Like, so
But it's still, you know, in gay relationship, it's still one side is usually more of the, you know, masculine or feminine side. So it's again the masculine side. The moon has to flow from the masculine side to the feminine side.
can feel that way. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So it's a little bit about like it can be worked with, but both parties need to be working with it together. Otherwise, it's if one party, if let's say the man understands it, starts to give, there's nothing, you know, it won't do much because it won't be received. And when it won't be received, the problems are still there.
It helps to know.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's like once you know it, it's not hidden anymore. You know,
I think,
it comes out, and then it's not like it's this unknown thing of like, oh my God, why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? You know, when you get in those like, I think actually like Dane Cook a long time ago had these things about the nothing fight, where it's like you're fighting about nothing. It's like the actual thing you're fighting about is not the thing you're fighting about. It's the actual underlying whatever, the giving, the receiving, whatever.
I think this, let's say, if you have this, guys, if you have this, let's say, in the wrong direction from the woman to the man, this can happen. What Mercedes just said can happen more in your relationship. It can just seem like, you know, it's not flowing the right way.
Like the feminine is supposed to be supported by the masculine. I think inside of yourself as well as in the partnership. So yeah, it makes it feel opposite where the feminine is supporting the masculine, and it doesn't mean that the feminine never supports it. No, like it's just that it's too much. House of Cards a bit. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm having a deja vu right now. Hey, cool.
So, yeah. Like
which is a good segue into
this is a pretty awesome.
Well, do you have anything else to say about Moonflow? Like,
I mean, like
I want to laugh because every time I've like been like interested in someone or whatever, I've obviously gotten permission, but every time I'm like, hey Ian, what do you think? And it's like, well, his moon is here, so
listen, this is one of the things I want to say, really, because I have that with my fiance, and it has been an issue at times for us. But both of us know this, and we've been really doing our best to manage it, so you can use it and you can live with it. Obviously, the issue becomes really bad when both don't know or one knows. Then it's harder to navigate. And the thing is, guys, like for me, it's always when we're doing relationship and partnership synastry or composite or whatever thing you're using there, it's like the point there, I would look at it later. I will say it bluntly. I would look at it a little bit later. I know Mercedes likes to look at it quite quickly. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you guys. I would look at it a little bit later. I would get to know the person first. Otherwise, you will reject people really quickly. And I see that happening online in forums and astrological forums a lot. Like,
you start putting up your guards and you start your filters and everything, rather than seeing the person for who they are, but also, see the person for who they are. Just, yeah.
And you're kind of like not really getting to know the person as well. You're like, the dance of the relationship is almost like missed. Oh, I know this is going to happen. Oh, this is, And
Sort of reminds me of a conversation that I was having with someone the other day where they were talking about I think Inception, the movie, explains it really well, where he has his like subconscious version of his wife in his mind, and then he describes how he's like, I could never, ever imagine her correctly because of all of her many different facets of who she is, essentially. So it's like everyone, yeah. Can go so deep with that.
yeah, everybody has a lot of deep facets, and I always recommend, in order to get to know a person, live with them, live under the same roof with them. That's the best way. I'm not saying obviously do it immediately, but if you're
Yeah.
like there 6 months dating and everything is fun and amazing and awesome, oh yeah, you know, yeah, slow it down. Get to rent out an apartment, live for a year together, and then come back to me and say how amazing and awesome it is and how easy it is to be in a relationship. Probably your mindset will be changed. And if you haven't lived with another person, I mean romantically, that you're involved with, shut the fuck up, I would say.
To be blunt about it. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking
You
about.
don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Actually,
literally.
that I think is like a little bit of a red flag for me if a person has not lived on their own without anybody, for one. I wouldn't live with them. If they haven't done that.
But somebody has. Okay, on their own.
You gotta know who you are on your own.
Okay, I got that.
You gotta
yeah.
know that your socks don't pick up themselves. You gotta know that it's not a magical coffee table that just clears. And you got
And the bills and stuff like that.
Gotta
Big
pay those.
topic.
Yeah. It's funny because oh man, it's just like been
Memory blast.
Yeah. I wouldn't even attempt it.
I will give some.
I wouldn't judge them on their chart. I would judge them on that.
Get to know them, go on dates, go on a vacation, whatever. Get to know a person, and how you get to know a person is you spend time with them, not text messaging them. That's the initial very shallow phase that you also need, but the juice, the meat, is in the spending of the time with them and living with them.
I think we all have like our stories and our
Yeah.
the stuff. We got the stuff.
And right now, I'm literally, as we're talking about, I'm just looking back also at my experiences. I'm now more appreciative of these experiences. Before I stepped into this, long-term relationship, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now if I hadn't had all those other experiences. Yeah, good.
Which is actually a good segue into the cosmic guidance
Totally.
For Sunday the 17th, the day that this is coming in your ear holes. Integrate and integrity. 2 words. Integrate, integrity. So one of the things that I think, maybe this is spiritual bypassing, something like that. People call it. I don't know what the kids are saying these days.
Cool kids.
The cool kids. A lot of people freaking will learn stuff, right? They'll learn stuff and they'll be like, I read this book and blah, 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 and all these cool things, and never freaking integrate it into their lives. Like, I know so many people who have read so many amazing books, and I'm like, oh, like, well, then why didn't you change? After you read that and you had all that information, you didn't absorb it into your life? How? So this integration piece is so crucial, so key, because when you, especially in spirituality, I think it's easy to just glaze over a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, oh, I'll take that, I'm not going to take that, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Every thought counts. And then integrity, that's just a given. Like, just have integrity. It's really not that hard.
It's hard for some people, unfortunately.
I don't get that. I just don't get it. I feel I'm angry a little bit. This is coming out. Ooh, there's a trigger there somewhere.
I can understand. I mean, integrity. I had to learn integrity, really. It's like really this is one of the things I was like thinking about the other day. I was thinking about, all these spiritual things and spiritual workshops and information and da da da. Remember, guys, you're human, and a lot of those spiritual gifts, spiritual things don't pay the bills. Some do, obviously, some do. But I'm saying, if you don't have real life, earthly, practical skills that you really need to use on a practical level, like integrity, like you say something and you do it, that's a skill that you need to practice over and over again until you get it. So
I actually, one of the, so my like day-to-day job, speaking of, I'm in contact with a lot of really freaking cool people. And so I mean, in my job, I'm like not really meant to be going too much into their lives, but I do ask some people questions, obviously with permission. And I knew this one guy, and he owned this huge construction company, And I asked him, I was like, what if you had to look back in your life, what would you say is the reason why you grew your business this big? Like, what made you different from every other construction company? Why? And he's like, every time I had an opportunity to do something shady or screw someone over or whatever, I didn't. And I was like, boom, there it is. Rules for life. Don't be a dick.
a really important one. Really freaking important one. Because I think a lot of people abuse that.
Yeah, well, and it goes into respect, right? Like, do you respect yourself enough to not disrespect other people?
That's where it begins. That's where it begins, guys. Respecting yourself. Yeah, if you're screwing people over, you most likely aren't respecting yourself too much. I will give you guys now some of the short fire things I've written down about the full moon as well, because I did.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Understanding other people's perspectives. The other becomes important. What would they think, do, feel in this situation? Important question to ask during this full moon. I transform alone and also through the other. Diplomacy and letting go. And during this full moon we won't want to let go, because the Pluto will want to hold on to everything. Luckily, Libra will hopefully help it. The problem with Libra here is being too shallow and not going deep enough. So there is both extremes are represented here by the Libra and by the Pluto. So one wants to hold on, one wants to just brush it over. Don't do either.
Why do you think that is with Libra?
Hard to say. But one of the things that Libra does is it's very much in the mind. It's very much intellectual. It's a very intellectual sign. But it's hard to go, for them to go deeper into emotions. Again, depending on other things in the chart. If you have other things, you will learn it and you will do it. But the Libra is a little bit of a, can be a little bit of a, I'm only here and it can't go down here, basically. Couple of more. Needing to make a decision because of someone else, meaning being pressured into taking a decision because of someone else, like somebody can control you, manipulate you. And the last one is manipulation, control, jealousy in relationship, and it coming to light. How we do it and how others do it to ourselves or us. Yeah.
That's really interesting because that's the theme seems to be like other people.
Libra is a lot about others. It's almost like experiencing life through others. And this is one of the downfalls of the Libra is to find out what they actually want. Because I see in my line of work, I see a lot of people who are just confused. And a lot of them have strong Libras, and they've taken on something from others, again the other, and they think it's theirs. But actually, later on they find out, okay, I'm unhappy, I'm miserable, I don't want to do this. But other people told me this is important to do, and I don't want to do it.
That's gotta be like really hard for like especially people in like certain family traditions and stuff, like where family and the tradition of the family is super like ingrained, like culture is ingrained in.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Very deep with that thought. Wow. I feel like I've been taken to a magical land and I need to come back because we're having a conversation. Oh, okay. So that's the full moon.
We're
Is
going
there
into.
anything else coming up?
I think we're going into the 18th now.
We are.
So during the 18th, we can already feel it during the 17th. Mercury and Venus are in a sextile. Venus and Uranus in a sextile. These are good aspects in general. And so after the intensity of the relationship drama, dare I say, Venus, the ruler of Libra and relationships, will actually get into a better place. So what it means is, after we gone through the troubles and drama and hardships of the relationships, now it's easier to talk about it. Mercury and Venus in a sextile, the communication gets a little bit clearer. Venus is in Pisces, where it's exalted, so it can be almost like too much, I would say, like too many optimistic things being said, too many good things being said. I don't know if that's possible.
I don't think that's possible.
But just usually when they are in a sextile, it's not in a manipulative way. It's still meant in the correct way or from the heart or whatever. So that's good. And Venus and Uranus, usually sextile again between the two of them means even money coming in, but it also means that pleasant surprises in relationships, in partnerships, some new contact, something like that can come your way, or your current partner can surprise you, or maybe even a new potential suitor will reveal themselves during this
Knock
time.
on your door and say, "Hey, it's me."
Hey, it's me. You don't have to go into those dating apps anymore.
Oh God, shut them all down. Goodbye. Yeah, not into that anymore. I'm so sick of it. Okay. Very interesting because when I was focusing in on the day, it was like I was hearing songs and like music, and it was like the guidance for the 18th is sing and sounds, and it was very much about listening. And what I heard very, very clearly was pay attention to what you hear. Like, and I was like, well, is it listen then? No. Very clearly it's not listen. It's more about I mean, and that is listening though, so this is something I gotta ponder too, but it's like pay attention to what you hear and feel the vibration, the what's not being said, the in between.
I think it matches.
Yeah, with the Mercury stuff, that's really interesting.
Because
As you were talking, I was like, huh? What? That's crazy.
but Mercury is also in a conjunction with Uranus as well, so it's a Mercury is getting it all from all angles, and maybe the conjunction is a little bit more intense. You know, somebody can say something really unique in those meetings with in relationships, or something you really almost rebellious. And we have a Pluto. Lots happening on that day specifically. I mean, 18th. And Pluto and Sun are in a square, so that brings another element of difficulty there, because you know when Pluto and Sun are in a square, it's like we can feel a little bit powerless even to some sort of either a male figure or our own creative material creation. So we're kind of like,
Why is that? Is that the sun?
because
Like,
the sun is a lot what we put out into the world, what we create into the world, our creative intelligence that we put into our career and work. And Pluto in a square, in a difficult placement to it, can make seem like we are almost like we're not good enough to do it, or we are, there's something stopping us, there's a government stopping us, or something outside ourselves sometimes, or inner, usually still leading back to our inner powerlessness, that keeps us from putting the effort and things out into the world. But it is a really good way to find inner and internal power from within yourself to then take
it kind of
outside.
makes sense with that, like Libra stuff, with the full moon and being a lot about other people and other people power over you, I guess, or perceived, because as soon as you change that inside of I'm not a victim anymore and I actually can change this, it changes. Oh man, and it's funny because I feel like I'm getting a little triggered here. Like I'm definitely feeling some emotions rising. I'm like, oh, there's like a big thing here on power inside of me, I think here.
But I think I think you're tuning into this. I think you're also tuning into this as well, because there is a lot of that energy, triggering energy there.
Yeah, and so then moving into Tuesday the 19th, the message I was receiving was anger. And I was like, ooh, spicy, let's go. Because I mean, okay, the big thing with anger that I have learned, I mean, okay, I just want to preface this with like, I've done a ton of counseling, like a ton of counseling, ton of inner work. So like, while I'm not a counselor, freaking I've gone into some deep places with it. Anyways, anger is the way that you're heard. Under the anger, prior to the anger, there's always something else. Sadness or fear or whatever. And then the anger is the way to be heard. So, what's under the anger is the question.
This is where we're very often in my practice also, because I do counsel people on these matters as well, is like I almost want them to get angry, because at times it's very hard to get to the underneath of the anger otherwise. But having said that, the problem here is if you can get to the underneath before the anger, you don't really need the anger. This is the gist. The anger is always showing you, like Mercedes said, it's showing you something. So if you're angry and pissed off, but you can't yet go deeper, obviously find healthy ways of releasing that anger. But your anger is literally showing you that space that is actually hurting, sad, in pain. Something happened that, you didn't actually approve of, like, or etc., etc.
You know
That
you
needs
deserve
attention,
better.
and you and you deserve better. Yeah.
I think I don't know. Like I'm even having a hard time having this conversation, to be honest, because I'm like,
Okay,
it's
tell me
like
what's going
seriously
on.
coming up. No, well, I'm like, I don't really want to go too crazy into it, but what do I want to say? I think there's pain in the masculine feminine imbalance, in the perceived power over, power under, in regards to male authority figures slash male people in my life, masculine figures in my life that mistreated me and other feminine, female, whatever people. The male, fuck, this is hard to talk about. You know, let's just say, like, in general, in a general context, it's people of power disrespecting people who are vulnerable and mistreating them. And that's, to me, extremely sad, and it's extremely wrong. And I've been the vulnerable person. And I think karmically, I mean, obviously, we've been both sides. And, in this particular lifetime, I was a vulnerable person in many instances where that was taken advantage of.
It seems like some of that hasn't been released yet.
So just a reminder to everyone listening, we're humans. Ian and I have our shit that we go through too. Like, we're not, just because we're doing a podcast doesn't mean we're any different.
You can talk for yourself. Okay. Yeah, totally, guys. Fucking, I just literally went through something yesterday that I had to transform pain into something better.
Yeah.
So, guys, I'm in it. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the trenches constantly.
Yeah, in the trenches constantly. That's a good way to put it. I feel a lot lighter actually now, just having said all of that. I feel like I can kind of move on. Because obviously, it was important to experience, right? Like, and when I look at it from a higher perspective, I'm like, thank God I experienced that, because otherwise I wouldn't know.
Yeah. The guys, I want to say the only thing I have with the higher perspective, to me, the higher perspective always comes after the pain has been released. If you're out there listening and you go directly to the higher experience, but there's still pain underneath it. Remember, that needs to be usually released. Otherwise, it will leak out later. And then, if you release it, then it's easier to understand the higher perspective or the higher meaning for why these things happen to you.
I feel like there's a lot of today. Okay. Is there anything else important to say about anger?
I think a lot. I mean a lot. I think.
I mean, I guess it's really specific as to where it's arising in a person's life, in regards to what scenarios.
Yeah.
I used to be a really freaking angry kid. Like, really angry.
Most Most likely something was happening that
Wasn't
was
so good.
Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not that way anymore, though. You know, lots of deep transformational work has gone on in this person here.
That's the only way, guys. That's the only way. That's the only way, guys. It feels like there's something to be said about this, but I can't grasp the words yet. Because, like, one of the things what anger shows us is something is not happening. The right thing is not happening, or we're not in the right place, or something incorrect is being done to us as well. So this is a very, so I don't want to vilify anger. So anger is a pretty darn important emotion.
I think probably the thing that we're missing is like gaslighting, because of what you just said there. It's like, when you are feeling this, if someone's telling you like, oh no, you shouldn't feel that way, I'm actually doing this, or I'm not that way, or whatever, it's like there's an intuitive voice inside of you that loves the shit out of you, that is telling you that that's not correct. It's not correct, no matter what they're saying. Their actions are not matching that, your intuition.
Yeah, it's a deep voice. I think you need to getting good contact with, because in those situations there is a danger of literally your mind bullshitting you as well. But if you're connected to the voice, then because I will give you an example. A lot of these during a lot of fights, especially, people can say things from their pain, from their hurt, to make it seem like you're the bad person, or you did something wrong. And sometimes you fucking did. You need to accept it. You need to own it. But this is where the voice, this is where actually the healthy mind, this is where everything comes to your aid if you know how to use it. If you know how to use your brain, mind, feeling, intuition, then you can differentiate between the actual times when you did something wrong, you need to apologize and make better decisions, and the actual times where you're being manipulated and abused. There's a huge difference, but sometimes they can melt into freaking one, and you don't know if you did the wrong thing or they did the wrong thing or what even happened. So use all of these things to understand and differentiate between this.
Yeah, and I think also really important here is like you need to also know when to ask for help too, because if you're so wrapped up in what's going on in your brain, you need maybe a grounded presence, someone that you trust, someone that you like, that can hold that space for you so that you can actually go through it.
Totes my goods. What to say that?
Which is actually really a good way to move into Wednesday, which the guidance is...
That's a different way of saying segue.
Yeah, I didn't segue. Move into Wednesday, which is depth. Very fascinating, because it's sort of, if we're looking at the week, it's like integrate, pay attention to what you hear, anger, depth. It's almost like an equation, like a math equation. We're adding it all up to equal deep, going very, very deep.
It's interesting because what is happening astrologically is everything moves out of fire, or Sun and Mercury both have moved out of fire, and we have a lot of earth fixed energy, and we have water, a lot of mutable energy. So what earth and water make together is mud, and they can it doesn't have to be bad bad mud. It's good mud. It's good, the spa mud. But the thing about the mud is that it can mean going deeper within, you know. Um,
Murky.
Murky waters, muddy waters.
You know, it's so interesting. I was just talking to someone about how, like, wherever I live, there needs to be like lakes that you can swim in. Because I
Hmm.
lived in a city, Kamloops. I don't probably don't know about it,
I
but
know the name. I haven't been there,
yeah,
unfortunately.
it's like a really like desert type of a area, and there's a big river. The Thompson River goes through. I think it's the Thompson River. Wow, that just sort of was automatic and came out. I didn't even think about it, but the river goes through, and the river is so murky and gross,
Mm.
and I hated as kid. It was like we never went to the river to swim. We went to the lake to swim. And it was like, yeah, anyways, as you were saying that, I was just thinking about how like I really did not prefer the murky brown waters.
I mean, it is a bit of a. I wouldn't say it's the easiest of energies to swim in, especially if, again, if you have water, a lot of water energy in your chart, because the things will slow down after the full moon. You know, it's like works, it moves
Mm-hmm.
slower. So
Mm-hmm.
remember, guys, Taurus energy is a lot about keeping things working. The things that are already in place, the status quo, keeping that in place, keep making sure it's working. And if you add Pisces to it, Pisces is like a little bit indecisive at times, but it also is about changing things. So it's almost like we're changing the things that already are in place. We're reworking them. We're making changes in the things to keep them working, to make them still continue to work.
Isn't there something about how like I want to say, so we're talking Taurus, of course, but there's something also about Capricorn with how we keep things, let's say, the way they are because they're working well that way.
Hmm.
Is that sort of like in the Taurus, I want to say there's a bit of a stubbornness and
No, totally.
unwillingness to change, even if it isn't actually working well.
Hmm.
Like Capricorn, I feel like keeps it that way because it makes sense.
Capricorn is more, I would say, a little bit more practical. And remember, Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so it's a Earth cardinal sign, while Taurus is a fixed Earth sign. Fixed and Earth
I don't.
together, it basically means in earthly terms they don't want to move at all. You know, they want to
Oh,
keep it.
just
But
for the sake of not moving.
we can even say that because it feels comfortable. You know, it feels,
Ah,
something that is already there. It's working. Or even if it's not working, it's still there. You know.
I'm just like picturing like a bowl
Yeah.
and a fish flopping around in front of it. Like, what?
Good depiction of the energy. But cardinal energy means action. So Capricorn, still being an earth sign, they still have the action side of that. So they plan a long time and they start moving along, somewhere in the future, but they will still change if the necessity is there.
Hmm.
Taurus, it's much harder. They need to be
Yeah.
pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Capricorn energy is like fascinating because it's just, if to me, it feels like it's so ancient.
Hmm.
Like I just get this ancient, whereas Taurus is like, I mean, I love Taurus, of course, and it feels very like, yeah, stubborn for the sake
It's
of it.
extremely stubborn. I would
It's like,
even go
let's
as
talk
far as
about
say.
this.
And yeah. So it's a little bit slower here, guys, after the full moon. I would say
Yeah.
definitely not a lot of fire, not at all any fire, because even the moon, Pluto, Saturn, nothing in fire. So things will slow down for, fuck, oh God, many days. Many days, guys.
Oh my gosh.
For a
Yes,
long
and
end
it's
of month is slow.
so interesting because Thursday, the 21st,
Hmm.
guidance, cleaning the murky mop water. While things are slow, clean it up. Clean
Good.
up your shit.
like moon is now in Capricorn at least. So Capricorn energy is a very good energy to organize or to clean. Virgo is maybe a little bit more to clean, but Capricorn is organized, which very often means cleaning. So do that during this time. Although, you know, it will be slower. Everything will be slower.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it as we're even like talking about it. Like
It's
I
like,
almost feel like yeah, normally we're keeping things like light. we're, try- we're laughing
like,
a lot more. Right now I'm like,
it's like
dealing with all the sludge.
God, so little
And for Pisces
higher.
life, that's just, I mean, we all know it needs to be done. And read books.
I think it's a really good time actually to be in nature as well. Maybe something to do with water, nature, a little bit behind the scenes work, maybe creative work, wrap some things up. Yeah, maybe even enjoy yourself a little bit in the privacy, you know, something good, enjoyable. Spa day, beach day, picnic day, somewhere private. Something
Noted.
like this. Because, you know, there won't be a lot of energy to, you know, initiate or create many things. Maybe at best something you need to change in your business or projects to keep them running.
Oh my God.
The 22nd.
Birth, rebirth.
I think I haven't agreed so much with something. It's so literal. That's why I'm saying it's so literal. We have the Moon and Pluto conjunction, so that's a lot about. It's a momentary thing, guys. We've talked about this. It happens every month, once a month, right now. Every month, sorry, not right now, but it's happening in Capricorn, and we're going to metaphorically die for a second and be reborn with brand new emotions and feelings.
Which probably, if you've been paying attention, is a good thing.
Yeah, guys, if it's not evident yet, we kind of love transformation and talking
We're
about
kind
it.
of like pro transforming and pro moving on from crap and pro freedom and pro.
If there's a political like side we would take, it's probably pro transformation. I would
Yeah.
say.
Do you think there's a transformation party? In Canada, there's a political party, the Rhino Party. You can look this up. I don't know if it's okay. I still to this day don't know if it's a joke or not. And I prefer not to know. I prefer to keep this a mystery. The whole point of the party is that they want to move the Rocky Mountains.
Good.
One rock at a time.
This is.
Just move them.
Oh God! You know it's whenever I hear something like this, I'm just like, the fuck are you doing? Like, it's nothing. There's nothing for you to do anymore. There's a lot of problems to solve.
Yeah.
And
Like boredom
uh,
on high.
it's like, what are you smoking or what are you taking or? Please stop. Please stop.
Yeah. Please
doing
don't
that.
pass it around either.
God damn it.
That's really interesting. Birth and rebirth, which is also interesting as a side note, because we have just in Canada, I don't know about other places, but the week before when we were talking about the 15th and the 18th. So that's Good Friday and Easter Monday. So it's all about the Christ death
Nice
and
catch.
resurrection. So the week before. So it's interesting that it's coming up in the energy actually later than the event that most people will be celebrating. Or some people, whoever is celebrating that.
Because, guys, transformation takes time.
One rock at a time.
One rock at a time.
You can move those Rocky Mountains.
God, it's painful. It's painful for me to laugh at it, but it's fucking funny. You know?
It's really fucking funny.
It's really fucking funny. Somebody
Like
is
the absurdity of it.
absurdity.
It's absurd, you know. And most things in this life, if you really pay attention, are completely absurd. Yeah. Anything else? Friday.
Probably, but
Friday,
well-
we're changing it up a lot. I mean, just we all eventually. I feel like you get to this sort of place on the path, the spiritual path, where you just kind of become okay with everything. Like there's like a level of acceptance of like, okay, I'm not going to be able to control literally everything, so I've got to let go and I've got to move forward because there's really no other choice. I think I've said it before where it's like you're not going to avoid the things that are for you. You just won't be able to. Like we have free will and choice, but there are certain things that are divinely placed, and that's the end of it.
I can share a personal story here
Please do.
because
I feel like that's needed.
because it's literally one of the things that Mercedes here said. Like when you look at a natal chart or an astrological chart, you know, there's even my understanding of it, you can do a bunch of things. You know, there's not only one career or one job or one business you can do. There's a bunch of things, and I've been doing my best to understand where is the you know, what is the truth, what is the highest thing, what is the, you know, higher purpose, because you can use the energy in natal chart in a variety of ways, in different kinds of ways. So I can easily be a programmer doing something there. I can easily be I would probably be easily be a financial analyst. Why not easily be? But I've chosen to do something else entirely, you know. And I've weaved some things into it as well from those areas that I just mentioned to you. And to me, it becomes a matter of doing those things and understanding, okay, so this is good, but this is good, but. And every time that but gets into, at least in my experience, if I'm not helping others or if I'm not helping the people. So if you can use those things in your chart or in your life to help people, like this will be a game changer, because the feeling and the actual energy inserted from those events, if you do manage to help people, this is, I don't know, 10 times, 100 times better than, you know, making a trade. Because I've been, you know, trading on the markets and I'm doing those things, but it always feels empty. Even if you do a good trade and make money, it feels fucking empty. You know, some of you might be like, why? Making money is good. It is good. But the underlying meaning of helping others and putting that into another person or helping another person isn't there actually. So that immediately means less meaning, more emptiness. So take what you have learned, put it into a container and start helping people, I would say. I don't know where I was even began with that tangent. Fuck, I think I needed to be said.
Yeah, it did. I was struck. I even had to like close my eyes and just like be present with what you were saying there.
And I actually want to say, I also pondered a lot of times, like giving this spiritual thing or helping people or working with people thing up even totally, completely, not even denying it. And every time I went to those other things, I was like, yeah, this is kind of interesting, kind of doable. I can make money off it, good things. But freaking every time I managed to help at least one person to get to another space, it was totally freaking different. So even little things like, somebody saying like a YouTube comment, this shifted something big for me. Energy, hits you.
Yeah. So what do you think makes, because I feel the exact same way. So what do you think it is inside of us that makes it different? Because to me, there's no point unless I'm doing that, right? Like, is that in everyone, do you think?
I think it is. Somewhere it is. I had to go through a lot of difficulties to find it. So if I can...
Did you have to grab a shovel and dig it out?
Basically, I would say that's a really good way of saying it. I took a really long time to understand it. So I think it is. But, if you ask me if there's an astrological indication, I don't know yet. Maybe I will find it. If there's like a... Yeah, go ahead.
I just kind of think it's bigger than astrology.
Like there's a deeper God, universe type thing?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot. It's like, for me, I would describe it as like there's an invisible string that pulls me forward. And I can't stop. If I wanted to, like, I can't even fathom stopping. Like, stopping would be the worst.
As somebody who has tried, I can confirm that it's impossible. Hard for me to say either or to confirm because I don't have any kind of proof. All I actually know, that is something that is deep inside of me. The best I can explain it. And if I do it, I feel like I'm on my purpose and I'm doing the right thing in life. If I don't do it, I'm miserable and I'm unhappy and it feels like, wrong path, wrong thing. I don't want to do it. That's all I can say.
I think there's a key difference there in not wanting to do something out of like laziness or avoidance, and not wanting to do something because your soul says stop.
Yeah.
So then coming into Saturday, we're not moving in, we're coming into Saturday. Spiral is the guidance, and I was just like seeing all kinds of like sacred geometry and like all kinds of really crazy cool stuff. Mathematics actually reminded me of my friend Elizabeth, who does feng shui, and she's like super into like math and like the universal language of what math actually is. And like whenever she talks about it, I'm like, I am with you and I don't get it. So shout out to my homegirl Elizabeth.
Yeah, shout out.
Spiral. It can also be like, are we still in this Pisces energy? Spiral? Yeah, like frick, spinning out, man, that's a thing. Where something happens and you just get tweaked and then you're all of a sudden in this mind spiral and you're like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah, Pisces can be victimhood, guys. So... just want to say something else as well about this. On the Saturday Sunday we're having the Mercury North Node conjunction in Taurus, which is interesting. So North Node Mercury, where our interest goes or where our attention goes. But North Node can be so intense sometimes that it's like a spiral that is leading. So it's like almost like an obsessive energy. So
Right.
anything Mercury related, social media, talking, speaking, communicating, skills, in Taurus, add nature, finances, money. I think it's quite a money. Talking about money, talking about finances type of thing here, definitely.
Well, because like also, isn't there like a Fibonacci thing in
Fibonacci, yeah.
trading? Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about that, although right now.
Same. But yeah, I think there's a lot in like numbers also.
Like numerology, you mean?
Numerology. Yeah, the way that the universe speaks to us. Do you ever, so like this one day I was like driving to work and there was like 666 999 555 on all the license plates, and I'm just like, oh my God, what is with today? But I spend a lot of time noticing that stuff too. A lot of people don't spend the time paying attention.
I definitely do. Sometimes even look it up, especially look it up numbers and their meanings when I see them in dreams. I do see a lot of them in dreams, so
Interesting.
sometimes pretty darn good messages there. Always don't obviously manage to do what they say. Fuck.
Haha. Sometimes you have to be a human.
Sometimes a human. God. God, I mean, like even talking about this energy that is in the week is like so slow. It's like, and
Yeah.
North Node and Mercury together, usually it's, I would say fast. But in this Taurusy, earthy, and kind of Pisces, somber energy is like, whoa. It's like hard to even say anything concise or precise about it. It's a little bit murky or muddy here. I do, like I said, the nature, a little bit art, a little bit of enjoyment, barbecuing near a lake or something, can be good.
I very much like that idea. As a Canadian outdoorsy
Canadian.
type person, I very much enjoy a barbecue outside, especially by a lake. That's a bonus.
Go do it, guys. Maybe that's a good segue into the kind of like outro part of the podcast, because I'm really in my mind like, what the hell are you speaking? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I think we discussed a lot of things here, and I personally feel like a lot of things came up for me personally while we were talking about it all. So I feel like I'm about to go and deal with that. Which is a good thing. And I feel like our podcast is a lot about, in the subtext of it all is about how to transform your life. That's kind of our intention. It's like how to do that, even though it's really freaking hard. Like right now I'm feeling something, and it feels to me very hard, and but I'm not going to sit here and just be in it and not do anything. I'm going to go sit and I'm going to go look at this thing inside of me. What is that? I want to know, because this feeling, I want to free myself from it.
I think it's a perfect way to end this week's podcast, guys. Go look at.
Thanks for listening.
go look at feelings that you want to liberate from yourself from, and other things that you want freedom from.
Yeah. I think also, as a reminder, it's okay to move slow.
Especially in this energy. Very slow.
Because I'm feeling it, and I feel my resistance to moving slow, and I'm like, okay, so I have to actually really have to take that step back.
I don't like moving slow at all. I just want to go, go, go. And I gotta say, this doesn't look appealing to me at all. But I will do my best through it, and
Yeah.
I will do my best to fill you in next time we meet.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.